The Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. All those persons not entitled to the privileges of the floor will retire to the gallery. The senators and all in attendance will stand and be led in prayer by the Reverend Dr. Vernon C. Walton, First Baptist Church of Vienna, Virginia. Pastor Walton.
Shall we pray together? Most gracious and eternal God, our Father, we're grateful to you for life, and we're grateful to you for this day. We thank you for loving us, guiding us, and certainly protecting us. We recognize your sovereignty, and we bow to your lordship. We're grateful for this day, and we're grateful for the opportunity to gather in this chamber to do the business of the people of the great state of Virginia. We seek your divine guidance as we seek to do your will. We pray that our actions honor you and that our actions help others. In our decision-making and throughout this session, help us to remain mindful of the needs of people over party. Keep in the forefront of our minds children that need education, seniors that are in need of medicine, parents that are looking for work and affordable housing. Our prayer is that you would keep us sensitive. Pray this morning especially for the new leadership of our state, Governor Northam and Lieutenant Governor Fairfax. Surround them with people who will aid them in being successful and meeting the needs of our state. And finally, we pray for our entire nation. And on this King Day, give us a spirit of unity. Help us to correct our wrongs. Help us not just to reflect on the dream, but to help us make the dream a reality for people of all colors, races, ethnicities, countries, preferences, and genders. It is then that we shall truly be able to sing with conviction and truth, "My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing." And we will joyfully be able to declare, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. We seek you, God, for this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Clerk will call the roll. All those present, please vote aye. Clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. President. Senate Journal for Friday, January 12, 2018, and Saturday, January 13, 2018.
Thank you. The senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 5.
Ayes 33, noes 5. The reading of the journal is waived. Clerk will report any communications from the House of Delegates. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Good morning, Mr. President, and welcome.
Good morning.
I respectfully move that we waive the reading of any communications received from the House of Delegates.
Question is, shall the reading of the communication be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates will please record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Any senators desire to change their votes? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 3.
Ayes 37, noes 3. The reading of the communication is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the governor.
We do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. James. Time has come to welcome our visitors to take up any matters for the morning hour. Senator is here. Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for a series of introductions.
Thank you. Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I want to begin by recognizing Reverend Dr. Vernon C. Walton of First Baptist Church of Vienna. And before I ask him to stand and be recognized, I'll give you a little bit of background. This was a church that was founded 150 years ago by freedmen and women in what is today the town of Vienna in Fairfax County. Started that church. They have nurtured it for 150 years, and I could say it has been a bulwark of the African-American community in Fairfax County, but really that would be an understatement. It's been a bulwark of the community in Fairfax County, period. I've been there many, many times. I've taken my family there. It is theologically and intellectually and spiritually one of the best churches I've ever attended, and it challenges me when I'm there. I will say I've made so many appearances, I've been a little bit worried they're going to start hitting me up for a tithe. But in the meantime, it's a great honor to have Dr. Walton here, and I would ask that Reverend Vernon C. Walton of First Baptist Church of Vienna stand to be recognized.
Thank you, Senator Peterson. Please. Dr. Walton, please rise. Thank you for being here today. We were so honored to have you deliver our prayer this morning, and I echo the sentiments of Senator Peterson. I've had the privilege and pleasure of worshiping at your incredible church many times, and we thank you for your leadership to this Commonwealth and to this country. So please receive the warm welcome of the Senate. Thank you.
Mr.
Senator,
President, I might state the next introduction.
Senator has the floor.
The next introduction, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, is a man who's really a legend in Fairfax County jurisprudence, and that's the Honorable Federal Court Judge, United States District Court Judge Gerald Lee. Just a bit of background. I started practicing 24 years ago in Fairfax County, and I remember trying my first case in front of Judge Lee. I was shaking like a leaf. And he told me afterwards, he called me back into chambers and told me I did a nice job. And I still regard that as one of the few but best compliments I've had in my legal career. He, of course, went on to be a United States District Court Judge, just retired after a long and extremely distinguished career. He had a little bit of a shaky record in terms of choosing law clerks, but other than that, I think he's had an outstanding career, and I'd ask that he stand and be recognized.
Please stand, Judge Lee. And please remain standing, Judge. I want to, again, echo Senator Peterson's compliments of you. And we have an incredibly long and storied history together. I interned for you while in law school. I became your law clerk after law school. You married my wife, Dr. Serena Fairfax, and I during that time. And now you and your wife, Edna Ruth Vincent, a brilliant lawyer in her own right, are my wife's dental patients. And you told me I could say that publicly without violating HIPAA. So, but we are so grateful to you. You have been an incredible role model for me and so many other people. I was honored to have you deliver the oath of office on Saturday to swear me in as Lieutenant Governor. And please receive the warm welcome of the Senate. Thank you.
And finally, Mr. President, for my final introduction.
Who has the floor?
And I'll simply say the last person in Fairfax County should have turned out the lights on the way out. But I want to recognize Dr. Serena Fairfax, Cameron Fairfax, and Karis Fairfax, if they could please stand. Dr. Serena Fairfax is a noted dentist in the city of Fairfax. I want to make it clear that she is a Fairfax City business owner. And she and her children are here today to witness their husband and father his first day on the job. So I ask that they stand to be recognized.
And I'd like to remind everyone here in the Senate, if we're going to have the senators recognized, I will then welcome, and then we'll all welcome together to make sure everyone gets the proper welcome. So I want to thank the Senator, who is a dear friend of our family, and I thank my beautiful family, my brilliant, beautiful wife, Dr. Serena Fairfax, Duke University graduate, a VCU School of Dentistry graduate, was named the most outstanding dental school alumna of the last decade at VCU, and we're so proud of her. I want to thank our wonderful children, Cameron, our 8-year-old, and Karis Grace, our 6-year-old, for everything that they have done and for everything that they will do in the future. So please, everyone, join me in giving them the warm welcome of the Senate. Did the senator from Fairfax City, did you want to say a general thing about the rest of my family, just welcoming them?
I do.
Okay, I saw some note on that.
Yes.
Okay.
I will simply say my slogan when I first got started in politics was put Fairfax first, and so I'm just going to carry that over to my next role. If there's any other members of the Fairfax family and your wife's family, and I just want to make sure they're recognized and have a chance and stand to thank them and acknowledge their presence here today.
I thank the Senator. Would any members of the Fairfax Wanzer extended family please rise? For the kids, you can stand up again one more time. And we just want to thank you all. This is our family, and you all have been rocks for us, and we're so grateful to every single one of you. I hope you've enjoyed this time and look forward to great things to come. So thank you all for being here, and please, everyone, do the honor and privilege of joining me in the warm welcome of the Senate. The Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome. I have two introductions, and the first is on behalf of Senator Barker and myself. We want to recognize one of our distinguished constituents, Dorothea Peters of Alexandria. Ms. Peters is active in civic affairs, and I want to also recognize her work as a former chair of the Northern Virginia Juvenile Detention Commission, as well as all the work she's done in the community as a guardian ad litem.
I thank the Senator. Dorothea Peters, see you in the gallery. Dorothea, thank you for being here with us today, and you also are a dear friend. I've gotten to know you very well, and thank you for your distinguished career, your contributions here to the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I would ask everyone to please join us in giving Dorothea Peters the warm welcome of the Senate. After Senator.
Mr. President,
Senator has the floor.
My second introduction is of a group of more than 70 Virginia Young Democrats, and these young people are here in Capitol Square today to advocate for a robust legislative agenda. They represent young Virginians aged 13 to 35, and they're the largest partisan youth organization in the Commonwealth. Today, they're joined by their political director, Maggie Davis, Graham Weinshank, their secretary, Christina Diaz-Torres, the education chair, and their finance director, Joe Russell. In 2017 alone, these engaged young people reached out to more than 103,000 voters across the Commonwealth, and they volunteered more than 550 hours, made over 35,000 phone calls, and sent in excess of 16,000 texts. They also knocked on more than 51,000 household doors in rain, cold weather, and good weather. They created Get Out the Vote video ads. They reached voters across multiple online platforms in both Spanish and English. And I've always been proud of what they've done with their issue summits. I got to speak at one, or actually at their high school leadership academy, which equips high schoolers to be effective advocates for the issues they care about. Additionally, they give back to their communities through food drives and other charitable events. In the spirit of bipartisanship, the Arlington and Falls Church Young Democrats have worked together with young Republicans, cleaning up invasive species and building bicycles for underprivileged children. I hope that you'll give them the warm welcome of the Senate, Mr. President.
I thank the senators. Thank you. I'm very enthusiastic about them as well. Just a gentle reminder that I will then welcome them and we can clap together at the end. Will the Virginia Young Democrats all please rise and remain standing? I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for the work that you do here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and so critically important that young people stay engaged and involved. This is your democracy and your Commonwealth. So thank you for being here, and everyone please welcome them with a warm welcome of the Senate. Thank you. The Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
The Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'm pleased to inform the body of the presence in the gallery of Tonya Henley Clark from the Virginia Hemophilia Foundation. I had hoped that I would have a chance to visit with her and them today, but we spent the whole morning in courts committee. So regardless of that, I would still ask that you give her the warm welcome of the Senate.
Thank the Senator. Ms. Tonya Henley Clark, please rise. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for the important work that you do. And we echo the Senator's sentiments and really appreciate everything you contribute here to the Commonwealth of Virginia. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Ms. Tonya Hindley Clark with the warm welcome of the Senate. The junior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joining us in the gallery today, we have members of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, which was founded on January 5th, 1911, on the campus of Indiana State University in Bloomington, Indiana. With over 150,000 members across the world, the fraternity's motto is achievement in every field of human endeavor. Today is their 10th annual General Assembly Lobby Day, and they are visiting the state capitol to discuss such issues as civil rights, health care, improving public education, and mentoring programs for our youth. Please join me in giving the members of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity a warm Senate welcome.
I thank the senator, the junior senator from Richmond City, and please, would the members of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated stand? We thank you for your leadership and your commitment. I myself am a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and we're very proud of the work that you have done for many, many years. And Judge Lee is also a member of your great and esteemed organization. So thank you all so much, and please join me in giving them the warm welcome of the Senate. Thank you. The senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I would ask our visitor, Helen Gray Donovan, to rise. And I want to say that her mother and I share a little bit in common, and Helen Gray and I share a little bit in common. Her mother and I have been friends since, about 1982, when we were college Republicans in love, not with each other. Her mother, Siobhan, married her college Republican sweetheart, Lloyd, and I mine, Suzanne. And Helen Gray was a student at Virginia Tech, and actually she made outstanding educational choices, as some in this room also had. She went to Virginia Tech and is now a student at Washington and Lee University School of Law. And, Mr. President, I would ask you to welcome Helen Gray Donovan and her friend Kasia Caprata to the Senate.
Thank the senator. Would Helen Gray Donovan and her friend Kasia please rise? I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for the work that you're doing and pursuing really fantastic careers in education and the civic engagement that you've displayed. And we want to thank you and your mother, great senator here, does wonderful work. And so we just ask everyone to please join me in welcoming in with the warm welcome of the Senate.
Mr. President, and I apologize because there is not a green sheet corresponding to this.
Yes.
Two things. I would point out that Helen Gray was also a page, but I would draw your attention to another former page who I hesitate to call out individually, but she happens to be my niece, Lucy Griffin, who stands right above my head, I do believe.
Excellent. But Lucy Griffin, please stand. Lucy, thank you so much. We're very fond of your uncle, Senator Obenshain, and the great work that he's done. And we thank you for your leadership and for your great family. I would ask everyone to please join us in giving Lucy the warm welcome of the Senate. The senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rise for the purposes of 5 introductions.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, it's not as bad as what it might initially seem. Mr. President, with businesses and financial institutions and apparently schools being closed, we are being visited by a number of former page classes. The first page class is from 1994, at a time when Senator Saslaw might have had different color hair, but they certainly know the workings of this body very well, and would ask that you offer the former page class of 1994 the warm welcome to the Senate.
Would the former page class of 1994 please stand? We would like to, perfect. We'd like to thank you for being here. Thank you for your service as a page. Really important program, and we've had some great people come through it, including you as well. So please join me in offering the warm welcome of the Senate to the class of 1994 page program.
Mr. President, further introduction. As we move forward, we have some more recent page classes with us, and I think they will grow in size as we get closer to this one. We have the former page class of 2014.
Would the former page class of 2014 please rise? I want to thank you for being here today. Again, thank you for your work in the page program and for your leadership, and I would wish you nothing but the best in the future, and would ask everyone to please join us in giving the warm welcome of the Senate to the Senate page class of 2014. Thank you for being here. Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, if you could also give the warm welcome of the Senate to the former page class of 2015.
Would the former page class of 2015 please rise? I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your participation in the PAGE program and for all the great things that you have gone on to do. 2015 was a fantastic year. Duke University won a national championship in basketball that year, and so it was a special one for you, I'm sure. And we want to thank you all for being here and offer you the warm welcome of the Senate. Thank you. Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, we also have the former page class of 2016.
Would the former page class of 2016 please rise? Okay, on both sides. Thank you all so much for being here to the page class of 2016. You're a larger number, we can tell, and we thank you for your leadership and for what you have done. And we would ask everyone to please join us in offering you the warm welcome of the Senate. Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, finally, we have the former page class of 2017. And Mr. President, ending with this, I would tell the members of the body and those watching in other places, the page classes that we have and the page program we have in Virginia is second to none, whether it be another state or federal. It is a tremendous program, and the fact that so many of our pages routinely visit us and we routinely see them in leadership roles throughout the Commonwealth is a true testament to Madam Clerk and her team for what the lessons and opportunities they allow and instill in these children. And we are very thankful for that page class, and am glad to welcome the page class of 2017.
Thank the Senator for his kind sentiments. Would the former page class of 2017 please rise to be recognized? There are a couple of you up there. We want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your leadership in joining the PAGE program, and also echo Senator McDougal's statement. It is a phenomenal program, second to none. The Madam Clerk and her staff are really top-notch, and we are lucky to have people of your caliber in our program. So I would ask everyone to please join me in offering the warm welcome of the Senate to the former PAGE class of 2017. That's it. Rhonda? Is that it? Any more welcomes? One more? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Heather. And he's from Hanover. Senator McDougal from Hanover. Okay. The senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Mr. President, Apparently I spoke too soon, and I received another green sheet, Ross, for the purpose of the introduction of Senate Page Riggin Hart from 1998.
Riggin Hart, if you would please stand. Riggin, thank you so much for being here today. I'm glad we had the opportunity to recognize you. Thank you for your participation in the Page program and your leadership and everything that you've done here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We would just ask everyone to please join us in offering the warm welcome of the Senate to Riggin Hart. Thank you, Riggin. Are there any further introductions from the senators?
Mr. President.
Yes, Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Mr. President, I rise for a quick introduction. I'm sorry I don't have a green sheet for it. I just noticed he was in the balcony.
The senator has the floor.
Mr. President, members of the chamber, I just would like to welcome Richard Roberts in the gallery today. Richard was just invaluable in my campaign and just a stalwart, one of those folks that's always can be counted on in any campaign, and we all have run them. The guy that you call at 2 o'clock in the morning and say we needed something the next morning, but I'm glad to see he's down here today advocating for what he believes in, and just glad to see him in the balcony. Mr. President, if you give the warm welcome of the Senate to Richard Roberts.
Thank the senator. Would Richard Roberts please stand? Richard, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Thank you for your service to Senator Reeves and to the Commonwealth of Virginia. We appreciate you being here, and we would ask everyone please to join us in offering Richard Roberts the warm welcome of the Senate. Any further introductions? Thank you. Resolutions, petitions, and bills are now in order. Madam Clerk, appearing that we have none, is there any other business for the morning hour? Appearing that there is none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Monday, January 15th, 2018. Uncontested calendar. Senate bills on second reading.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully move that all the Senate bills on the uncontested calendar on the second reading, which would include all Senate bills on pages 1 through 4, including Senate Bill 76 through Senate Bill 380, be advanced to their engrossment in the block after the adoption of any amendments thereto. Any senator who may desire to remove a bill from the block should please do so after the clerk has read the number of that bill.
Question is, shall all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 1 through 4, Senate Bill 76 through Senate Bill 330, be engrossed and advanced to the third reading in the block after the adoption of the amendments thereto, that any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to.
Senate Bill 76, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Mr. President, this I don't have the substitute in front of me. Senate Bill 76, I do not have the substitute in front of me. It's on the uncontested calendar. I'm just going to move this. Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. President, I move the substitute.
Okay. Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 103, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. Senate Bill 227, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. Senate Bill 269, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
The senior senator from Loudoun, Senator Black.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome. And I move the Senate substitute.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 287, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. Senate Bill 295, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. Senate Bill 304, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. Senate Bill 330, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendment.
The senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask for that to go by for the day. We have a floor substitution that's not quite ready, but it will be by tomorrow.
Okay. Question is, without objection, we'll go by for the day. The question is, shall the Senate bills be engrossed in advance to their third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills are engrossed in advance to their third reading.
Regular calendar, Senate bill on second reading, Senate Bill 134, a bill to make certain hospital licenses effective until December 1st, 2018, reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Good afternoon, Senator.
And welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I now move that Senate Bill 134 be engrossed in advance to its next reading, to its third reading.
Question is, shall Senate Bill 134 be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 134 will be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that all the Senate bills on the first reading on both the uncontested and regular calendar, which would include all Senate bills on pages 5 through 9, including Senate Bill 89 through Senate Bill 414, that the rules of the Senate be suspended and that the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended in the first reading of the titles of the Senate bills on uncontested and regular calendars, pages 5 through 9, Senate Bill 89 through Senate Bill 414, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would now move that all of the said bills on the second reading be passed by for the day, sir.
Thank you. The question is...
Mr. President, before we get to that, could Senate Bill 414 come out of that block for a motion to re-refer to Finance Committee?
Without objection, we'll take Senate Bill 414 out of the block. The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on second reading be passed by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Mr. President.
Senator from Hanover.
Rise for the purposes of a motion that Senate Bill 414 be recommitted to the Committee on Finance. Re-referred.
Re-referred. Question is, shall Senate Bill 414 be re-referred to the Committee on Finance? All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 414 shall be re-referred to the Committee on Finance. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Inquiry of the clerk. Does that complete today's calendar?
Yes, sir.
Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none?
Mr. President.
Oh, sorry. The junior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for a point of personal privilege and a motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Commission, of which I'm proud to serve as chair, joins the nation in celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was born 89 years ago today. The King Commission was formed in 1992 to not only honor the memory of Dr. King, but to continue his work through educational, historic, and cultural programs, public policy analysis, and public disclosure or discourse on contemporary issues. Events of 2017 have left us with a sharper awareness that much work remains to be done to achieve Dr. King's vision of a beloved community, a global vision in which all people can share in the wealth of the earth. As described by the King Center in Atlanta, in the beloved community, poverty, hunger, and homelessness will not be tolerated because international standards of human decency will not allow it. Racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood. In the beloved community, international disputes will be resolved by peaceful conflict resolution and reconciliation instead of military power. Love and trust will triumph over fear and hatred, and peace and justice will prevail over war and military conflict. On August 11th and 12th of last year, this dream felt painfully distant here in the Commonwealth when a display of hatred in Charlottesville resulted in the senseless deaths of Heather Heyer and Virginia State Police pilot Lieutenant H.J. Cullen and Trooper pilot Burke M.M. Bates. 55 years ago, Dr. King visited Charlottesville and spoke to nearly 900 students, faculty, and community in Old Cabell Hall at the invitation of the university's student chapter of the Virginia Council on Human Relations. In his speech, Dr. King said, "Non-cooperation with evil is as much a moral obligation as cooperation with good." A few years later, in 1967, Dr. King spoke to the 11th Annual Southern Christian Leadership Conference Convention in Atlanta on the topic, "Where do we go from here?" His speech echoed the themes of his book written that same year, and one of the central themes is hope. Reflecting upon the civil rights movement, Dr. King discussed the question of what African Americans should do with their new freedoms found after the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. He concluded that all Americans must unite in their fight against poverty and create an equality of opportunity. He reiterated his philosophy of nonviolent social change and the power of love over hate, saying that he still stood by nonviolence as the most potent weapon available to the Negro in his struggle for justice in this country, because darkness cannot put out darkness. Only light can do that. And he said, "I say to you, I have decided to stick with love, for I know that love is ultimately the only answer to mankind's problems. And I'm going to talk about it wherever I go. I know it isn't popular to talk about it in some circles today. And I'm not talking about emotional bosh when I talk about love. I'm talking about a strong, demanding love. For I have seen too much hate. I've seen too much hate on the faces of sheriffs in the South. I've seen hate on the faces of too many Klansmen, too many white citizens, counselors in the South who want to hate. Myself, because every time I see it, I know that it does something to their faces and their personalities. And I say to myself that hate is too great a burden. I have decided to love. If you are seeking the highest good, I think you can find it through love. And the beautiful thing is, we aren't moving wrong when we do it, because John was right. God is love. And he who hates does not know God, but he who loves has the key that unlocks the door to the meaning of the ultimate reality. Those words ring true, and we need to heed them today. Dr. King spoke those words in the last year of his life. And today, as we celebrate his birth, this year we will also remember and mourn his death, which we will celebrate the 50th or recognize the 50th anniversary of his assassination in Memphis, as he was in Memphis to fight for the economic justice and improve the lives and working conditions of sanitation workers there on strike. Today, half a century later, we still ask Dr. King's question, where do we go from here? In 2018, the King Commission will travel to 12 localities across the state where Dr. King actually visited through our King in Virginia project. We will talk about and educate the public on King's ties, visits, and connections to Virginia. More importantly, we will examine in each of those communities, where are we in achieving Dr. King's vision of a beloved community today, and where do we go from here? I invite you all to join us throughout the year as we have this important conversation. Dr. King foresaw hardships to come that we still endure today. And he said, difficult and painful as it is, we must walk on in the days ahead with an audacious faith in the future. That is as important today as it was 50 years ago, and that we must remember on this historic day that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Dr. King delivered his last address the night before he died, and his final words to the nation make clear his unshakable faith that whatever challenges we face, we will achieve peace and justice in our future if we continue to strive for it. And he said, I've been to the mountaintop, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land, and I may not get there with you, but I want you to know that we as a people will get to the promised land. Dr. King's words, his faith in humanity, his hopes for the future give us clear direction today as we continue to build our beloved community. So, Mr. President, I move that when the Senate adjourns today, we do so in the honor and memory of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Thank you.
In favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will recess accordingly. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Mr. President, I rise on a point of personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
First of all, Mr. President, I'd like to compliment the junior senator from the city of Richmond on her eloquent articulation in memorializing the Reverend Martin Luther King. Secondly, on a more mundane basis, an issue of protocol, I would like to remind every member of the Senate that when we have guests, that you introduce the guests, but the President of the Senate extends the welcome of the guests to the Senate, and that after he has extended the welcome, when he says, will you please join me in welcoming the visitor to the Senate, is when we do applause. I know the excitement the first day or two and the spontaneity of wanting to applause and burn off that nervous energy is there, but if we would please wait for Mr. President to extend the welcome and request us to join in the welcome. The last point that I would like to make is a compliment. And for those of you that had the privilege of being here on Saturday through the inaugural ceremonies, we owe an enormous expression of appreciation to Madam Clerk and her Senate colleagues, her Senate staff colleagues. They really did an extraordinary job of orchestrating the entire day, keeping us in order and well behaved, and on top of that, serving more nourishment than we probably should have been allowed to. I did find it interesting that while the Senate Clerk's office provided all of that to us, that we were really blessed to have a visit by a number of the former governors who came by to break bread with us and also to just share good conversation and to renew friendship. So, Madam Clerk, I appreciate what you and your staff did, and if everyone would please join me in expressing your appreciation to what the Senate Clerk staff did for inauguration.
Thank the senator. I recognize the senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President and members of the Senate, first I want to echo the remarks of the majority leader. Madam Clerk, you could not, it was just absolutely superlative. Pearl Mesta, who you all have never heard of, she was the woman that threw all those lavish parties during the Truman and Eisenhower years in Washington. She couldn't have done a better job than what you did, okay? By the way, the Broadway play, Call Me Madam, was based on her with Irving Berlin's music. And I know what you all are thinking. Anyway, on behalf of not just my caucus, but I think all the members of the Senate, we want to welcome you here, your first day on the job. And, you came with great credentials, a wonderful family. And, Mr. President, we're looking forward to 4 great years from you. We expect some big things, and I wanted to welcome you. I also wanted to add that when this race started, there were 2 winners in that race, Senator Vogel and the Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. When that race was over, there were still 2 winners, Senator Vogel and Justin Fairfax. One obviously got more votes than the other, but it doesn't negate the fact that we have 2 super people in here with us. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Vogel.
I thank the senior senator from Fairfax for his kind words, both about myself and about Senator Vogel. And thank you, Senator Vogel, for your leadership. I'd like to recognize Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas. Unless she doesn't want to be recognized. Right. Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. President. I join everyone else in welcoming you to the Senate.
Thank you, Senator.
May we return to the morning hour for the purpose of an introduction?
We may, without objection.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to welcome Christopher Booth. Chris Booth from Botetourt County, who's a friend of mine, very active in the Roanoke Valley, politically in the Botetourt County Republican Party, in business as a realtor, and also civically with the Rotary Club. And I hope that you'll give the warm welcome of the Senate to Mr. Chris Booth.
I thank the Senator. Would Mr. Chris Booth please stand? Mr. Booth, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your work with Senator Suderline and your work in Botetourt County, and we're happy to have you here today and would ask everyone to please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Mr. Chris Booth. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rise for a point of personal privilege.
The Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I'd like to join Senator Saslaw in extending a warm welcome to the Senate of Virginia to you, Mr. President. You bring a rare combination of being articulate, insightful, affable with a smile that I will try not to make it diminish too frequently over the next 4 years on it, but I just wanted to welcome you to the Senate of Virginia, and we are looking forward to working with you and along with you through the process over this year and the next 3 years.
I thank the Senator for his very kind and generous words and for his leadership, and I look forward to working very closely with you as well. So thank you so much. The Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan. Okay, without objection. Any other senator like to rise? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Monday, January 15th, the Committee on Commerce and Labor will meet 15 minutes after adjournment in Senate Room A in the Pocahontas Building. The Committee on General Laws and Technology will meet 45 minutes after adjournment in Senate Room 3 in the Capitol. The Finance Subcommittee on Health and Human Resources will meet at 4 p.m., 5th floor, Subcommittee Room number 1 in Pocahontas. Senators Hanger, Howell, Norman, Newman, Barker, Donovan, Stewart, and Dance. The Northern Virginia delegation will meet at 5 p.m., 6th floor, Senate Leadership Conference Room in Pocahontas. Tomorrow, Tuesday, January 16th, the Finance Subcommittee on Economic Development and Natural Resources will meet at 7:30 a.m. in the 5th floor, Subcommittee Room number 1. Senators Ruff, Saslaw, Hanger, Wagner, Obenshain, Stewart, and Dance. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Health Professions will meet at 8:30 a.m. in the 5th floor, Subcommittee Room number 2. Senators Donovan, Suderline, Carrico, Barker, Lucas, and Peake. The Committee on Finance will meet at 9 a.m. in Committee Room B. The Republican Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 2. The Democratic Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 1. And if you need judge forms, please see Tara or Sarah.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Chair recognizes the senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would now move that the Senate stand in recess until 6:30 this evening for purposes of receiving the 73rd Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia's initial State of the Commonwealth address.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand in recess until 6:30 p.m. tonight? All those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The Senate stands in recess until 6:30 p.m. tonight.